348 delegates from 12 countries, 47% of women, 126 organizations, 57% of the delegates under 44, which aligns with what we want to do. We want to empower young people, young scientists.
Here's the challenge. How do we align the often drawn-out academic research with the often urgent policy questions? How do we ensure that scientists are not just talking to other scientists?
Today's social and ecological crisis demands that we develop new, globally influential narratives to motivate change. We know that we have the science on our side, but in order to trigger a meaningful mass movement for nature, we now need people on our side.
The presence in an area or the lack of presence of insects in an area can be an indication of the overall quality of the environment.
The poaching of succulents in the MAXWELL land is just extraordinary. So this is a very important reserve.
And we found that many species could use it, including the black-line tamarins, and luckily it has worked.
I was just thinking about the bees, and I hadn't really thought about what the effect on humans would be, and everyone loved them.
What has been a great success about this conference is its diversity. Many a conference you go to, it will be a conference about birds, a conference about lions. Here you can hear anything from insects to lions to light pollution, you name it, it all happens here. And I think the people who come enjoy the opportunity to interact with other scientists who normally they would not meet with.
It's an experience because I managed to understand exactly what people are doing and then where we're lacking. So this will pave at least a way for us going forward to see what are the gaps that we need to sort of like work on, and making networks with other people who are working the same sphere where we are. This will help us not to reinvent the wheel that's already moving.
There are so many super interesting people, all the peers, and just, I mean, the whole conference vibe, so many scientists and other people. I think it's really important to connect with like-minded people around you.
The one other thing that I'm so happy about is that now people are also pitching for like ideas about collaborations, resources that they have that people are welcome to use, many of them free of charge, as in it's simply amazing. So would I come again? For sure.
How do we move this ball forward? How do we take it from this discussion around this room here and take it into the wider world and make it stick?
I think we need to learn from sectors completely outside of conservation. Yeah. We need to learn from the advertising agencies.
So we have all this information that sits in these rooms or in these computers, but how do we get that tangible? How do we get that? How do we put a face to that information?
I think that the wonderful oscillations between hope and despair have been extraordinary. People who are doing the most amazing work and then translating that into life-threatening challenges and then beginning to provide the answers. To have those both in the same place, what more could you wish for?
Research funding can be challenging to find in Africa, and I think there's such value to African-led research towards addressing African challenges. So part of my research that I'm going to do now is trying to build a network of biodiversity professionals across the continent, and I think in South Africa we do that pretty well through conferences like this.
This conference has shown the future of conservation science. Imagine a hot air balloon growing higher and higher in the air, from world-class single-species focus studies all the way up to national, ecosystem-wide, regional, continental studies. The view gets broader, the perspective and the scale gets greater as that hot air balloon of perspective rises in the sky. This conference has been a monument to that vision of science.
And then lastly, what I would like to do is pay a special thanks to all of you, the delegates who've come here. You are what gives this conference life. This conference is only worthwhile if there is an outcome, and so that's my challenge to you.